Okay, so in this video, we are going to take a look at how to add some lists, both ordered lists and unordered lists, as well as how to add some images to your web page. So let's go ahead and take a run at this real quick, and you can see what's going on here. So you see I have a main heading, I have some subheadings and paragraphs in here. I've got it broken up using line breaks, and I've got a couple other topics, my family, and my favorite movies. So let's just kind of move this over to the side for now. And we'll come in here and we'll start coding. Under this heading, my family, I'm going to go ahead and give ourselves a unordered list. So I'll start with UL, create that container element, and inside of that container are going to be LIs for list items. So UL stands for unordered list, LI stands for list item. So I'll use an LI for each thing that's going to go in here. So the first thing we'll put in here, we'll put in Jiali, which is my wife's name. We'll come to the end, come down, and we'll throw in another LI. And we'll throw in Amber and another LI here for Emily. And so you see this UL. Remember, you open and closing tags. It's a container element. So all of my list items are nested inside of that. Make sure that when you have a container element that they line up well with each other. And you can tell this with this little, come over and hover beside the number, and you can collapse that. And you see my ULs are right lined up directly below each other. But when I open it up, you can see my nested items are inside of that. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like on the web page. So we'll just make this a little bigger here. And there you see my list items here. All right. Now, if you wanted to kind of throw something else in here, I could do maybe an H4 and then put in here my family members. If I was to have more things under this main heading, and by putting the H4 inside of the UL, let's take a look at how that changes what it's going to look like. So you see, notice this my family is outside of the UL, and it's lined up here on the left, whereas this my family lines up with the words here, and the discs for the unordered list is further to the left. Now all this alignment you can modify and change with CSS, but that's not what we're doing here. We'll get into some CSS in a little bit, but right now we're just kind of trying to get the content onto the screen. All right, on to an ordered list. So unordered list gives us discs, little circles, whereas an ordered list we can just do with an OL. Again, it's a container, so go ahead and hit enter. Ordered lists are going to give us numbers. So favorite movies. Let's go ahead and throw in The Big Lebowski. As one of my favorite movies. Number 2, let's throw in The Matrix. An excellent movie. And last but not least, a classic, an old movie maybe you've seen, maybe you haven't. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. All right, so we throw in some OLs with some list items. UL gives us the discs, the dots, the OL gives us the numbers. Let's take a look and see how it looks here. And there we go. Favorite movies listed 1, 2, 3. Now, if you want to create a little separation, as you saw I did with the paragraph, you can also do that between items. I've just thrown in a BR tag here and a BR tag here. And when I refresh that, we just simply get a little bit of spacing happening in there. And you do that with breaks, line breaks. Okay, last thing I want to do here is throw in some images. right? So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put an image in here, and I do that with an IMG tag. So IMG stands for image. As you can see here, when I type in IMG and hit tab, it provides me with a couple attributes. Attributes are pieces of information that go inside of an opening tag, and they modify the way that an element reacts. Some of them are necessary and some of them are just useful. In terms of an IMG, the SRC tag is necessary. It must be there because you're providing an image that the source of that image, SRC stands for source, that source is required. You have to tell us where to look to get the image. So this one, I'm actually going to, I have a picture saved in my file folder on my computer. So I'm going to access that image by using a dot and /. You can see I have in here a folder called images. So I'm just going to type in images and then put another /. That gives me some options here that are, these are the files, the image folder files inside of this folder. So I'm going to select woods.jpg because that's the image that I want to select. And so now you see here how an all attributes should be written. You have the attribute name, in this case SRC. You assign it, the equal sign is an assignment statement, so you are assigning it to the value. Values are always placed within quotation marks. So the source value, where to look, is ./images/ woods.jpg. Now this alt tag, in a certain sense it is necessary because we want to make our websites accessible for everyone, and the alt tag is one way that we can do that. So some people use screen readers to help turn the screen into words, so visually impaired, and also any kind of automated web analysis program is going to use the alt tag to understand what an image is about. So we're just going to throw in some words here that describe the picture, so that if there's a screen reader or if there's an analysis tool that's scanning my page, they understand what the image is of. So I'm going to say walk in the woods. That's what this is a picture of. So let's go ahead, and before we do that, also notice that the image, there's no closing tag here because the IMG element is a self-closing element, meaning it doesn't need the closing tag. So there's no hard, fast rule of knowing when a certain element is a closing tag or not a closing tag. So that's what's nice about using an IDE like VS Code, is because they'll kind of fill it in for you. But you should also have access to resources which can tell you if it's a self-closing or non-self-closing. So let's take a look at the website and see what we got here. So if you notice here, this picture's a little bit too big. You can barely see it. I gotta really enlarge the page to even get a sense of what this is. So what I'm gonna show you is one more attribute here. And you could do width or you could do height. It really doesn't matter which one you pick, depends on if you're trying to justify how wide it is or how tall it is. What I highly recommend is that you do not do both, because if you only set one, the program will automatically adjust the second. If you use two, then it's going to compress the file into fit your ratio that you're creating. So I really only recommend that you do one. Now, when you establish the value for the width, you have to tell it what kind of units, because it can use multiple types of units. So when you put in the number, you got to use the unit. So I'm going to say 400px, which stands for 400 pixels. Let's go ahead and refresh this, and take a look at the picture. And now you see that kind of fits better within the whole website, what I have here. So there you go. The image is there and seems to fit nicely with how wide everything else is. So 400 pixels seems to have worked there. Okay, so let's add in one more image here. And this time, this image I'm going to get from the web. So let's just go in here. We'll bring back up the website. I'll open up a new tab. And I'm just going to search in here, The Big Lebowski. So there's The Big Lebowski. I'm going to go here to Images. And let's just grab this image here. So in order to copy an image from Google, if you right-click the image, you come down here, and there's a bunch of copies on here. So you want to make sure you get the right one. Copy image address. When I select copy image address, it's now copied to my clipboard. I can come back over here to the source attribute, and we'll go ahead and paste that in, Control V. Now that's a pretty long web URL, but that's okay. I am going to click and drag this alt element or alt attribute back here to the front, and that just shows you that it doesn't really matter which order you put these in. They're still going to work properly. Now, of course, the IMG, that the name of the element must be listed first, and then all your attributes can come after that. So I'm just going to put in here The Big Lebowski as my alt, and we're going to go ahead and add also a width. We'll just adjust this. We'll make this 400 px as well and make it the same width as the other one. And so this is the second way of being able to get an image into our website. And this one is from a web. So there we go. I have an image in here, a couple images. I have some headings, some subheadings. I got some paragraphs in here, got some images. I got my unordered list. I have my ordered list. And that's really what I'm looking for in this first lab, is to be able to just use these elements to be able to provide good structure. Now look at how this is indented and how everything fits nicely. If I collapse the head, it matches up. If I collapse my unordered list, they all match up. So you can see inside the body, everything is lined up very nicely. If I collapse my body, then you see inside of the HTML, everything is lined up nicely. I'm looking for good structure, and I'm looking for a variety of elements. Use your attributes correctly, add some images, add some lists, add some headings, and just, write whatever interests you. Doesn't have to be all that great. Just make sure that the coding is correct. Hope this was useful. Have a good day.